Confession, my darlings, is not born of virtue. It is born of fear. In the frozen heart of Hawksmere, beneath a veil of storm and sanctity, Lady Alianor prepares to draw blood, not with blade or fire, but with words. The church has turned its gaze, the nobles have drawn their lines, and the sheriff's parchment has arrived like a noose wrapped in grace. And at its center lies one trembling soul, Sister Margery, the viper who once whispered faith into poison, now forced to spit her venom as truth. Outside, the wind keens through the stones, begging mercy for none. Inside, justice takes a darker shape. The chapel, once a house of prayer, becomes a tribunal, its walls colder than any cell. Each breath clouds the air like ghostly witnesses, each word uttered another nail in a nobleman's coffin. But beware, my sweet listeners, when truth is extracted through fear, it carries the flavor of its birth. And in the confession box of Hawksmere, every revelation stains the soul of both confessor and confessed alike. So listen well, as faith is turned to weaponry, and the blizzard outside begins to envy the storm within.
Chapter 22, The Confession Box. The sheriff's parchment crackled in Alianor's frozen grip, its stark words, Sir Jocelyn, petitioned, Furness Abbey, grave concern, testimony of Sister Margery is now critical, echoing the howl of the blizzard that encased Hawksmere. De Furnival's plea wasn't just a request, it was a lifeline thrown across a chasm, rapidly being widened by Roland's powerful kin. That lifeline was currently shivering in a dark, freezing storeroom next to the chapel, a viper whose venom they now desperately needed. Sir Jocelyn moves fast, Aemon rasped, leaning heavily on his staff beside her in the snow-choked courtyard. The young deputy's horse steamed in the frigid air, its flanks heaving. Using Cuthbert's lies about disorder and Edmund's state, Furness lending holy weight to the slander, his gray eyes, bloodshot and shadowed by pain, met hers. Margery isn't just leverage anymore, Alianor. She's the dam holding back the flood. Alianor nodded, the cold biting deeper than the wind. The carefully laid trap, the psychological siege on Margery, had just escalated into a brutal necessity. Time was no longer a luxury. It was sand pouring through an hourglass cracked by Sir Jocelyn's influence. "Tom," she called, her voice sharp against the moaning gale. Tom materialized from the gloom near the gatehouse, his face grim. "Milady?" "See the deputy fed, his horse rubbed down and stabled. He stays until this storm breaks, or we can send word back." She handed him the sheriff's letter. "Read this. Know what we face. Then meet me in the chapel sacristy. Bring Bess. Quietly." Tom scanned the parchment, his weathered face hardening like granite. He spat into the snow. "Bastards circling like carrion crows. Aye, milady." He turned, barking orders to stable lads, his stride purposeful, despite the deepening drifts. Alianor turned to Aemon. "You should be resting." "And miss the Viper's Den?" A ghost of his old grim smile touched his lips. "I've faced worse in Thorn's Hollow blizzards. Besides, you might need a witness, or someone to catch you if she strikes." His gaze held hers, steady and unwavering. "We do this together." The walk to the chapel annex was a battle against the elements and the crushing weight of responsibility. The wind screamed around the keep's corners, driving stinging snow into their faces. The chapel itself was an island of profound, icy silence. The weak light filtering through the snow-clogged high windows did little to dispel the gloom, painting the stone walls in shifting shades of gray. The air smelled of cold stone, damp wool, old incense, and the pervasive fear emanating from the small storeroom door. Bess was already waiting in the sacristy, wringing her hands, her face pale. She held a small covered basket. "The broth, milady." "Hot as I could keep it, and dry bread." Her voice was a whisper. "Good, Bess," Alianor said, placing a hand briefly on the woman's arm. "Stay close. Listen." She took a deep, steadying breath, the cold air searing her lungs. The plan was simple now. apply the pressure of Sir Jocelyn's threat and de Furnival's demand directly to Margery's terror, leverage her isolation, her fear of Furness's abandonment, and the very real immediate danger Sir Jocelyn represented to her if she remained silent. She met Eamon's eyes, saw the fierce resolve there, and nodded. Tom arrived, his bulk filling the narrow sacristy doorway, his hand resting near his dagger hilt. He gave a curt nod. Alianor took the heavy iron key and unlocked the storeroom door. The hinges groaned, a sound that seemed unnaturally loud in the sacred silence. She pushed it open. The smell hit first, cold dampness, old fabric, candle wax, and the sharp tang of human fear. Margery sat exactly as before, huddled on the pile of sacks, but the composed serenity was utterly gone. She looked shrunken, aged a decade overnight. Her habit was rumpled, her face gaunt and pale beneath the grime, her eyes wide and bloodshot, darting like trapped birds. She flinched violently as the light from the sacristy spilled in, throwing Alianor's tall shadow across her. "Get out!" Margery hissed, her voice raw and scratchy. "Leave me to God's judgment." "God's judgment is coming, sister," Alianor said, stepping inside. Eamon followed, positioning himself just behind her left shoulder, a silent, imposing presence. Tom remained in the doorway, blocking the exit, his arms crossed. Bess hovered behind him, clutching the basket. But so is Sir Roland de Mowbray's. Alianor let the words hang in the frigid air. Margery's breath hitched. "Sir Jocelyn? What? What do you mean?" Alianor held up the sheriff's letter, though Margery couldn't read it in the gloom. A rider came. From Sheriff de Furnival. Sir Roland's cousin, Sir Jocelyn, has petitioned the king's justiciar. He demands Sir Roland's immediate release into his custody. He claims the arrest was invalid. He cites Lord Edmund's incapacity and my precarious and incompetent stewardship of Hawksmere. She took a step closer, her voice dropping to a chilling murmur. He uses the disorder Brother Cuthbert has so diligently reported. The deaths, the hunger, the cold. He uses it all to paint Roland as the victim and me as the usurper. Margery's eyes darted to the doorway, perhaps seeking Cuthbert, finding only Tom's implacable stare. Brother Cuthbert, he said, the Abbey would protect. "The Abbey is adding its voice, sister," Alianor cut in, her tone sharp as flint, expressing grave concern for Roland's spiritual welfare and the disorder here. They support Sir Jocelyn's claims. They are throwing Roland and anyone associated too closely with him to the wolves to save their own reputation. She saw the dawning horror in Margery's eyes. "Cuthbert didn't tell you that, did he?" "When he visited, he told you to craft a careful story, one that protected the Abbey, one that painted you as confused, perhaps, but not culpable. He offered you a return to Furness on their terms." Margery swallowed convulsively, her knuckles white where she gripped her habit. He said, "He used you, Margery," Eamon spoke, his voice a low growl that vibrated in the small space. "Just like Roland used you. Furness wants this scandal buried. They'll sacrifice you as readily as they're sacrificing Roland if it cleanses their doorstep. Your careful story? It will be the story they dictate, the story that makes them look blameless. Where does that leave you? A pawn discarded, a convenient scapegoat, still trapped, still facing the sheriff's questions, and Sir Jocelyn's wrath." "Sir Jocelyn," Margery whispered, the name thick with terror. "Sir Jocelyn," Alianor confirmed, pressing the advantage, "is not known for his mercy. He is known for protecting the Mowbray name, ruthlessly. If he secures Roland's release, what happens to the woman who knows all of Roland's secrets? The woman who spied, who lied, who helped tighten the noose around Lady Alianor's neck? The woman whose testimony could still damn his cousin?" She leaned down slightly, her gaze locking onto Margery's terrified one. "Do you think Sir Jocelyn will let you live to whisper those secrets to the sheriff? Or to anyone? You're a liability, sister. To Roland, to Furness, and now, most lethally, to Sir Jocelyn." A whimper escaped Margery's lips. She drew her knees tighter to her chest, rocking slightly. The isolation, the cold, Cuthbert's manipulative visit, and now the specter of Sir Jocelyn's lethal pragmatism. The pressure was immense, cracking the nun's brittle composure. "There is another path," Alianor said, her voice softening fractionally, offering the bait. "The sheriff's path. De Furnival wants your testimony. He needs it. Now. He needs irrefutable proof of Roland's guilt. Not just recent crimes, but the old ones too. The theft, the lies, the poison he dripped into Lady Eleanor's life." She gestured to Aemon. "The pattern of malice. If you give de Furnival that, a full, sworn deposition, detailing everything, he can break Sir Jocelyn's petition. He can keep Roland in Chesterfield's deepest cell. He can protect you." "Protect me?" Margery's voice was a ragged thread. "As a vital witness for the crown," Alianor stated, "your words could hang Roland. Furnace cannot touch you then. Sir Jocelyn cannot reach you. De Furnival will ensure your safety until the trial. After, perhaps a quiet convent, far from here, under a new name. A life, not a cell, not a knife in the dark." The offer hung in the icy air. Salvation versus annihilation. Margery stared into the gloom, her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. The wind howled outside, a reminder of the desolation awaiting her if she refused. Bess stepped tentatively forward, holding out the basket. The smell of hot, thin broth wafted out. "Here, sister," Bess murmured, her voice gentle despite everything. "Something warm, please." The simple act of kindness, the tangible warmth after hours of cold and fear, seemed to be the final straw. Margery's rigid posture slumped. A tear, then another, traced a path through the grime on her cheek. She didn't reach for the basket. He made me," she whispered, her voice trembling violently. "Roland. He knew things from my past, before the convent, things I confessed in confidence to Father Anselm at Furness. Roland. He had Father Anselm's ear, or his silence. He threatened exposure, shame, expulsion." She looked up, her eyes filled with a terrible, hunted shame. "He owned me, from the moment he learned my secrets." Alianor remained silent, letting the confession flow. Aemon shifted slightly, his expression unreadable. "He wanted Hawksmere," Margery continued, the words tumbling out now, driven by fear and the desperate need for the lifeline Alianor offered. Not just the land, the mine, the power, the legacy Edmund squandered. He despised Edmund's weakness, Godfrey's simplicity. He thought Lady Eleanor, she was beautiful, once, kind. He desired her, but she feared him, saw the darkness in him. He hated her for that, hated Sir Alaric Thorne because she smiled at him. She glanced fearfully at Aemon. "Your father. Roland never forgot that, framing you. It was vengeance as much as greed." She swallowed, her gaze dropping back to the stone floor. After Lady Eleanor died, and then Godfrey, Roland saw his chance, but he needed control. He needed Edmund compliant. He needed access. She shuddered. He suspected Lady Eleanor had hidden something. Jewels, he thought, her dower portion. He became obsessed, searched Godfrey's rooms, Edmund's, found nothing. Then he decided you knew Lady Alianor, that she told you. Margery's voice dropped to a horrified whisper. The marriage. It wasn't just about owning Hawksmere. It was about owning you, breaking you, making you tell him. He enjoyed it, the power, the fear. He said it was like hunting, each night, a little closer to the kill. Alianor's stomach turned. Hearing it laid bare, the calculated cruelty behind the nightly violations was a fresh wave of nausea. Aemon's hand clenched white-knuckled on his staff. The mine? Alianor forced the question out, her voice tight. Profit, Margery said, regaining a sliver of composure, retreating into facts. Quick profit. He owed money, gambling debts, to men in Chesterfield, dangerous men. He needed lead, silver, whatever he could get, fast. He ignored the warnings, called the men weaklings, cowards. He said, bone and blood were cheaper than silver. She wrapped her arms around herself. When the collapse happened, he was furious. Not at the deaths, at the loss, at the delay. Then Father Clement found the ring. Her voice faltered. He panicked. He knew the theft. It could unravel everything, link him to the past, to the thorns. He tried to silence Clement, tried to grab you, to make you submit one last time. She trailed off. The silence stretched, filled only by Margery's ragged breathing and the wind's mournful song. She had given them motive, history, method. She had painted Roland's portrait in the darkest hues, but Alianor needed more. She needed the knife for Sir Jocelyn. Sir Godfrey, Alianor pressed, her voice like ice. His death. Was it Roland? Margery flinched as if struck. She looked frantically from Alianor to Eamon to Tom's stony face in the doorway. The fear was back, primal and paralyzing. Accusing Roland of murder was a step too far. It bound her irrevocably. Sister Margery, Eamon said, his voice low and compelling. De Furnival needs this. We need this. To stop Sir Jocelyn. To protect you. Was it poison? Did you see anything? Hear anything? Margery squeezed her eyes shut, tears leaking out. I didn't see, she whispered, the words almost inaudible. But the day before Godfrey took ill, Roland was in the still room, alone. He was agitated. He took something, a small vial, from a hidden compartment behind the mortar and pestle. I thought nothing of it then. Herbs, but Godfrey's cup. He always took a posset at night. Roland. He often lingered near the kitchens around that time. Checking the stores, he said. She opened her eyes, filled with a terrible certainty. After Godfrey died, Roland burned the herbs in the still-room fireplace. Every scrap. Said they were contaminated. She looked directly at Alianor, her voice gaining a sliver of strength, born of utter desperation. He did it. I know he did. Just like he tried to break you. He removes obstacles. It was hearsay, circumstantial, but combined with Edmund's accusation, the timing, and Roland's subsequent actions, it was damning. It was the pattern de Furnival needed. Will you swear to this? Alianor asked, holding Margery's gaze. Before God? Before the sheriff? All of it? The theft, the framing, the threats, the mine, the poisoning? Margery looked broken, hollowed out. The proud, poisonous nun was gone, replaced by a terrified woman clinging to the only lifeline offered. She nodded, a jerky, defeated movement. Yes, she breathed. I will swear it. Just keep Sir Jocelyn away. Promise me. The sheriff will protect his witness, Alianor stated. It wasn't a personal promise, but it was the truth de Furnival would enforce. Bess, the broth and bread. Tom, fetch Father Clement. We need a scribe. Now. We take her deposition here, while the words are fresh and the fear of Sir Jocelyn is sharp. As Tom vanished into the chapel proper, and Bess knelt to offer the meager sustenance to the trembling nun, Alianor stepped back into the sacristy with Eamon. The tension in her shoulders hadn't eased. It had merely shifted. They had the testimony, wrung from terror and desperation. But transcribing it, getting it through the blizzard to de Furnival before Sir Jocelyn's influence prevailed, that was the next precipice. Eamon touched her arm lightly. You broke her. It was ruthlessly done. Alianor looked at him, the weight of what she'd just orchestrated settling coldly upon her. Justice often wears ugly clothes, Eamon, especially in winter. She glanced towards the storeroom, where Father Clement would soon arrive to bear witness to the damning words. Now we pray, this confession is enough to silence the carrion crows. The blizzard still raged outside, But within the chapel's cold stone walls, the first, fragile weapon against the gathering storm had finally been forged. Its edge was sharp and poisoned by the well it came from, but it was all they had.
And so, within the cold belly of a chapel, Lady Alianor forged her weapon, a confession scrawled by trembling hands and sanctified by terror. Margery's voice, once serpentine, now quivered with truths that could unmake kingdoms. Roland's sins, his lust, his lies, his poison, were laid bare. Yet with every word that damned him, Alianor felt the frostbite of righteousness gnaw deeper into her own heart. For justice, when drawn from despair, is never clean. It bleeds, it remembers, it whispers in the night that every victory has its corpse. Outside, the storm howled its approval, masking the sound of a soul breaking beneath its own salvation. The confession was written, the testimony secured, but the ink was blood, and the parchment her conscience. The blizzard raged on, sealing the keep in a silence that only truth can bring, the kind that does not free but binds. And within that silence, one truth lingered, sharp as the quill that wrote it. Forgiveness is not found in the confessional, only consequence. Until we meet again, keep your faith guarded and your secrets closer. For in the hands of the desperate, confession is the cruelest form of survival.